tomorrow night's first leg of the major semi-final at Gosford. The Mariners have a full-strength line-up against the in-form Raw, which remain unbeaten in 25 matches. That's the latest in the news. There'll be more news at 3 o'clock.
Thanks, Marilou. Yianni Johns, it looks like it's all action out there. We've got people tuning up. You know, me. La, 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 la. Nina's speaking with her hands. Nina's always speaking with her hands.
Yeah.
One of our great community artists here on the Central Coast, Nina Angelo. And and Charlie's out there as well. He's a fine singer-songwriter, I believe.
I've done some booking mistakes. We may have Rick Price and Charlie Crook, or either today.
We better get into it.
But if Charlie's not on this week, he's definitely on next week. And so we'll get into it. And we've got Jay Cassar and Nina Angelo coming in. And when they're talking primarily today about those the 5,000-year-old form of hieroglyphic art. So, and apparently we have it here on the Central Coast.
Yes, well, whether it's 5,000 years old or not is debatable.
At least 100. According to the internet, yeah.
Oh,
that's when they found it.
Oh, is that what they're saying? Even there's conjecture about that, though, isn't there? I mean, we don't really know, do we? Has anyone come up definitively and said, I have evidence just as irrefutable that it's this or that or the other? I mean,
not that I've found.
No, it's all speculation, all speculation.
But it's still very interesting.
It is, isn't it? It's a good story. It's a good story, and I don't think sometimes we shouldn't shy away from things where there isn't any evidence to support them in the fact that it's just good to have a yarn. It reads a little bit like a mystical, fictional story. I mean, it's a lovely story. The idea that it was the son of a pharaoh in a boat, even though it's pretty far-fetched. I mean, but it'd be a nice fantasy novel, I think, wouldn't it?
And and Jake was.
They'll prove it now. They'll say that Levi was an idiot, but I don't think so. I don't know.
Well, one of the gods of death was third human size.
Anubis.
Anubis. He's there, and I'm just wondering, maybe if he's there, are there some crypts underneath somewhere?
Well, that's what they're saying. There could be some sort of like the Valley of the Kings. Oh, it's all getting a bit much. Anyway,
maybe a virtual pyramid or two.
Joining us, Jake Cassar, who's brought his guitar and a bit of bush tucker too. How are you, Jake?
Oh, really well, thanks yourself.
Yeah, fighting fit. And Nina Angelo's here too.
Hello,
we had a big chat with Nina about the mystery of these hieroglyphs, and I don't know whether you can definitively say either or, but it's a fantastic story, isn't it? I mean, it's just one of those great. It would make a fantastic fantasy fiction novel.
It's amazing. It's been part of our folklore for generations at least. I first heard the story when I was about 5 years old, growing up at Dunalbin Avenue, Woy off an elder, a lady in the street, and she told me the story about the two Egyptian princes that became shipwrecked, and one of them lost their life from a snake bite, and the other one lived his life out with the local people. And then it wasn't until, what year was it, Nina, with Raymond Johnson's translation in the 90s, late 90s?
Yeah, actually early 90s.
Early 90s, that the translation came out, and Raymond Johnson, quite a well-known but amateur archaeologist, wrote a bit of a book about it, actually wrote 4 dictionaries in archaic Egyptian hieroglyphs which were included in the Egyptian library. So he's no slouch, this fellow, and he said, in no uncertain terms, that the hieroglyphs are genuine.
Now I was sent a photo, I think Nina did, or maybe you did, of a square cut. It's like something out of the Valley of the Kings, a cavern under the rock. Is that near there?
It is, but we need to be really careful and say we've got to make sure that young fellas in particular don't try and get down there and look around. It's very dangerous. I was doing a tour once.
So it could fall in on them.
It could fall in, and it has actually shifted a bit. But if anyone was to perpetuate a hoax, they've gone to months and months and months of work to make this cavern. It's quite remarkable.
Maybe it's a work of art that we're...
well, if it is, as you say, if it is a hoax, even as a hoax, it's probably something worth preserving because of its interest, the interest that it's generating amongst people. And it's under threat, isn't it? It's under.
That whole area that's in the national park.
Oh, that is in the national park.
If we stop looking at things from such an anthropomorphic view, a human thing saying that just Bambara Road is not a threat. This is only 40 metres from the development site, as is the grandmother tree, which is an enormous angophora, and I won't go into the story now because it's quite a sacred story about the tree, but it's world famous, these hieroglyph sites,
Yeah.
so much so that, as Yianni knows, Tony Robinson came up with a History
that's what I
Channel
wanted to
crew.
talk to you about.
Seven crew from England came down and we did the story on it, which is going to be featured on Foxtel in every country that gets Foxtel this
So
year.
that land that has been in dispute and people want to be a national park and council have a say in it as well, and national parks. It's a bit of a buffer, is it, to protect that part of the park
Absolutely.
with these things?
To develop that area, you'd need to take out around 971 mature trees. So it would really change the face of the area there. I believe Jean Klotz came on this show a couple of years ago. Who's
The French expert, yes, he was
petroglyphs,
talking about the rock art that they found in the area. We can't be too specific about where that is, but they
Exactly
were the...
right.
I think they're called Bradshaws. It was quite
yes.
extraordinary.
Bradshaws.
The spaceman-like rock carvings. We did have some pictures of them on our website.
I was talking about the Wandjina.
Wandjina, sorry, yes.
Wandjina. Did Jean Klotz say there was Wandjina-like artwork here?
One of the elders took him to a very secret site, site, and it was only found when the light was low. They were in there very late in the afternoon. They'd been looking for rock art previously there, and the grooves were so old that once you got the shadow on it, you could really see, and then they could put water over the top, and you could really see. And he was it's a very rich area for rock art.
Well, Jean Klotz himself said that it's got the greatest diversity for rock art in the world, and maybe after seeing some red ochre artwork, which is phenomenal in that area, and some petroglyphs and rock engravings, that this diversity is just enormous. So it's certainly worth protecting.
He said those petroglyphs were very similar to the ones that baffled people up in the Northern Territory. That some of the people who speculate they're like space men and all that.
Or like a halo around.
Yeah, they've got the halo thing around.
Aura.
The halo thing, like a space helmet.
It's beautiful
Some
stuff.
of them said, around the head. I'm not saying they're spacemen, but
Well, they actually those Bradshaws, they did a carbon date on a wasp nest that was stuck to them. It was 17,000 years old.
Oh, wow.
The earliest form of Western art was Altamara in that's a painting in the roof, and that's 14,000 years. So they actually predate the oldest form of art.
just about
It's
everything.
amazing, isn't it?
Anyway, it's a rich area.
And they're all space people. I like that.
I like
And
it
with
too.
with our hieroglyphs, is there any? Does the story on the wall, does it talk about our indigenous people at the time, or is it just the story about this king that came and got bitten by a...
Oh, the two
Job
Egyptian princes, yeah, it was quite succinct, the story, although it is a complete translation of the hieroglyphs. It talks about the two Egyptian princes and their Tyrian sailors from Tyre, who would have been, I guess, Lebanese people, coming there, and the one brother getting bitten by the snake and the other living his life out with the local people. So I guess, there is...
I've heard stories about... in some of the tombs in Egypt, they've actually found kangaroo skins. I don't know how true that is.
Now you're drawing a long bow.
No, this is what's come to me out of my
Museum,
research.
there are boomerangs and there are
Boomerangs,
Aboriginal artefacts in the Cairo Museum.
Yeah.
A lot of my Koori mates say that there's a strong connection between Egypt and this country, and my father's from Egypt and my family was there for over 400 years. I went there a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I saw the boomerangs and it was quite remarkable. They are full-on Aussie boomerangs, and
Were they made out of wood, or was it...
Made out of wood, yeah, but I believe also in...
You can understand that people would be very sceptical about all of this. I mean...
That's totally fair enough, and I say, irrespective of that, hundreds of people, or probably about 100 people a week visit the sites, and it's always really harmless people visiting the sites really gently.
So people are doing the right thing by it at this stage?
They really are, touch wood, there's real
You have to
wood
respect
here.
it.
They're respecting the site, and it's been around for so long that I just think it's earned that respect, and why not protect it? It's a bit of fascinating magic in up
So
in the
where are
Cairo
we at
Hills.
with the moves to protect it? Because we've got a heap of people to get through
No worries.
today, so we'll just...
We've got the Save the Sacred Land at Carryong Facebook group, so if people want to jump on Save the Sacred Land at Carryong, there's generic letters on there and
Great.
all that sort of thing. I had a meeting with the Shadow Minister for the Environment, thanks to Chris Holstein, the other day. We're trying to get a commitment from the council and the state government to purchase and protect the land and amalgamate it into the national park.
All right.
We've been fighting for this for a very long time.